In this video, I'll show you how to make overlapping convincing, and it's in my art instruction course on Amazon. Overlapping on land converges up toward eye level, which is the horizon. So the lowest tree overlaps the one in back, which is higher. In the air, overlapping converges down toward eye level. They always have to go toward eye level. So the highest cloud overlaps the lower and more distant clouds. Overlapping strengthens the sense of depth. So of these two nail clippers, this one is better at showing depth because this part of the clipper overlaps this part, and also there's obvious converging lines in the lower part of this clipper. Overlapping overrides all other depth cues. So this basket should be in front because it's larger with warmer colors that come forward. It has a visible texture and value in color contrasts. But we know this pot is in front because it overlaps the basket. Overlapping causes the eye to move here from left to right. We usually see the planes getting smaller with distance, but Rex Brandt believes that movement is more satisfying if it ends with a larger shape, even though that goes against depth cues. A circular arrangement like this, with its return to the front, is more interesting than the linear arrangement I just showed you and has a longer eye path. When you add a focus in the middle, there are multiple eye paths created with rotations and counter-rotations. Choose an interesting baseline. So this is a boring baseline, while this one is better. This arrangement is boring, whereas this one is more interesting. When we see this, we immediately assume that there are two rectangles overlapping one another. We don't see a rectangle and an L shape, and that's because we go with the simplest form. This is a four-sided figure identical to the one in front, and this is a six-sided figure. A long shape running behind another one should come out the other side. So this one isn't really understandable because it has no clear relationship to the rectangle. This one is better because it implies part of a rectangle in the back, suggesting two planes. This is even better because it runs in the same direction, implying that this line runs behind the rectangle. But this is the best because it's clearly different from the rectangle. This rod could be seen as attached to the dog's head, but if it continued on the other side, then it would be more likely seen as a rod in the distance. While a transparent shape can certainly overlap another shape, it doesn't indicate depth because we don't know which one is in front. For example, this table edge here is behind the bottle, so we don't know exactly which one is in front, although I think that makes it interesting. When the bottle has color or values, then we know that these fingers are in the back and these are not. If you want to show overlapping, the two shapes shouldn't be seen as one new shape, like this one resembling a present with a bow rather than overlapping. And they shouldn't share edges and especially corners. John's arm here seems to continue as Paul's leg, and George's line here seems to continue as Ringo's line. So these shared edges make the image confusing and flatten it since we lose the sense of overlapping. Also, it's better for the back shape to have its own form separate from the one in front. If they're similar, like these two, this angular shape could be seen as lying on top of the rectangle rather than sitting behind it. This one is clearly different from the rectangle, so it appears to be behind it. The shape in the back shouldn't look complete, so don't cut across joints because it may look like an amputation. This overlapping occurs at the neck of the brown horse, so he seems decapitated, whereas this overlapping is more understandable. The overlapping of the fence here is kind of the point. You just want to ask him, why on earth did you do that for? And in my horse painting, the fence hits him at the neck, which I wasn't supposed to do, but I think it gives him kind of a dumb cuteness. The degree to which an overlap shape can be hidden and still be identifiable depends on our familiarity with the shape and whether there are similar shapes in the picture. Here, instead of overlapping, I just crop the picture, but it's the same thought process. So show at least one half of the overlapped shape so that we know that this is a bottle and this is a pumpkin. We can hide much of a symmetrical shape because the viewer has no problem filling in the rest. And when we see pipes in perspective like this, we can finish the first pipe. I think that this is a successful overlapping. The front branches clearly overlap the blimp, and they're both very different shapes and clearly identifiable. The lost and found edges of this blimp make the viewer stop to try to figure out the outline, but it's not so hidden that the viewer gets frustrated. I think it would be better if the blimp went below this branch because now it looks like this branch is stopping the blimp. This image shows the man's head overlapping the woman's body, which overlaps his body, so they appear intertwined, and the viewer has to stop a moment to untangle the parts. To some extent, this violates some of the principles I just discussed. That is, we see the woman's foot here, but not the upper leg. But since it's relatively easy to understand the image, I think it works. And an image needs to be intriguing, but it shouldn't frustrate the viewer. And also look at the overall shape and make sure that's interesting. To evaluate whether your overlapping is understandable, convert it into two values. So you can see the guy in the front here is clearly understandable and is the focus. The four people in the middle become a conglomerate where we're not sure which leg goes with which person. And the two people in the back are fused. So we go from a single to a conglomerate to a fused image. In my next video, I'll discuss the difference between scale and proportion, and please remember to subscribe.